welcome to another episode of Coffee with Genially. Oh my God, I'm Crisia, and as always, this is our little space to pause, connect, drink coffee, and talk about ideas that make learning more meaningful, more, and honestly, more human. We know learning design isn't just about tool or trends, it's about experience that actually stick. And today, I'm especially excited because we're joined by someone who brings both a strategic thinking and creative spark to the world of learning design. Welcome, Linnea Sjogren.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here and having some coffee with you, though I am actually drinking tea.
Yeah, well, tea is perfect. You're a tea person. I'm a coffee person. This is my second.
Okay, this is my first, but yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So, join us today is Linnea Sjogren, an instructional designer who known for creating engaging, learn-centered experience that go beyond content delivery and focus on real impact.
Yes.
Linnea has worked across diverse learning environments, helping organizations transform the way they design and deliver learning. Right? Linnea, welcome.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah,
We're
and
so
I think
happy
the
to
impact
have you
part is
here.
really important because you can make beautiful things, right? But if they don't have impact, what are they for?
Yeah, you have created amazing things. I'm in shock. I found you on LinkedIn, and then our Genially community, as I mentioned it to her, that when you're gonna bring Linnea? Oh, I love her work because I believe that what they love about you is that you are very clear and
Yeah.
is it true that you write on LinkedIn on your post and it's what you feel and it's not something in marketing level or marketing something. It is well, you actually feel about something, and it's actually quite impactful.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, it is marketing in a sense. I do own my own company. Like, let's not pretend that I don't. But I think I don't do traditional sales. I do sales by proving that I can add value, and I want to add value whether or not you hire me. And then if you hire me, you get even more value. Like that's the way I see it.
But marketing has changed
Yeah.
over the years, and right now, I think people relate or engage with something that is human and
Yeah. Well, I am
more
definitely
instant.
human. I checked.
Yeah. So let's begin.
Coffee or tea.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Do it. Okay. Looking back at your journey as an instructional designer, what's one learning experience you create that still lives rent free in your head and why?
I don't think it's one specific one, but what lives rent free in my head is all the times I just did what I was told.
Okay.
Right, when I was new to instructional design, especially when I went from sort of, because I have a background in classroom training as well, and I
Uh-huh.
went into the sort of more like blended learning, e-learning aspects of things, right? In the beginning, I was just so happy to give people whatever they said they wanted without asking the right questions, without checking that it would have impact, right? So, people would be like, we need customer service training. And I'd be like, great, what's it about? And they'd be like, well, it's about this and that. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to make it for you. It's going to be pretty and beautiful and fun. Whereas now, right, when I know more about learning, I know more about learning science, the brain, creating business value, right, I'd be like, well, explain why you think we need customer in the first place. Do we have problems with customer service? Is there an aspect of that that's not working? Like, I didn't do that. That's what lives rent free in my head. All the training I made, that's pretty. And that was very appreciated, by the way. It was never, shot down or anything. But I don't think we actually provided any real value. That's what niggling in my brain sometimes.
You're not afraid to ask questions and to say no, and if something.
No, and I should say though, I don't just say no, like, no, I'm not going to build you training, go away. That's not how it works. It's like, I don't think training will solve your problem. But then I
Okay.
will also offer a viable solution and a different way, perhaps. So I'd be like, maybe we could update your manuals to be better, or maybe we could do, work with your, internal communication team to inform people about this. Maybe we could work with your leaders to support this behavior that you want. So I'm not just going to say no and walk away, but I'm
You
also
offer a solution.
training that doesn't have an impact. Or at least it has the potential to have an impact, because I can never guarantee it, right? But at least it has to have the potential of reaching the goal we want.
But it's good because you actually do both, like the consultation
Yeah.
and offering solutions, but also that you hear what they want and you understand their needs and try to find like something that can ingrain both.
Yeah, and I mean that's the strategic part, right? That's the partner part as well. It's being, not just I'm here to deliver e-learning or I'm here to
Okay.
deliver training, right? It's like I'm here to deliver solutions to problems. My lens is learning. Yes, that's my expertise, but that also means that I have an expertise to tell you when learning might not be what you need or
Okay.
might not solve your problem on its own. Right? If you look at, say, transfer research, etc., right, we know that training alone rarely gives effect. Right? It's combining that with other transfer tools and involving the business, making it part of their day-to-day life, things like that, that will actually have effect. And so it's also being able to consult about that. And I mean, I do an entire sort of workshop for people who want on like the cost of training and trying to understand whether or not we should use training as a tool, right? I do this for like internal teams and stuff like that. And we talk a lot about, the costs you don't see, because you usually think about the cost of creating learning
Yeah.
as, just the cost of building whatever e-learning module you have. But what about the cost of your subject matter experts and what they could be doing instead?
Wow.
What about the cost of your learners' time and what they could be doing instead? Okay, somebody is drilling now. Can you hear that?
No, it's okay.
Sort of. Okay, we'll see if they do it again. But basically, what I said, I'll go back. So we look at cost, right? And we say, yes, this is the cost of building training. Well, what about the cost for your SMEs and the time they could have spent doing other things? Because they're usually very busy people.
Of course.
What about the time all the employees spend taking the training? Especially if it doesn't have any effect, that's basically wasted time. What about the energy and the enthusiasm and the care that might be lost from your
And the
employees?
inspiration. Like they
Yeah.
need to be inspired or something
Yeah,
that
I mean, a lot
sometimes
of
are
us,
blocked,
but
no?
this is not, don't need to bring them down with like another training module that they have to do, but doesn't feel meaningful, right? Like, even if we're not lifting people up, we at least not bring them down.
Or we
And if
motivate
you look at
them
all
as well.
those costs, as well as the cost of then maybe not having solved the problem, but thinking you did,
Okay.
that's a lot of cost. And so, like, I don't want to waste, I'm their partner, I don't want to waste their money. I want to help them achieve their goals.
Amazing. Amazing. It's another world. It's impressive. I love to learn these kind of things because it's something that you don't know when you take a course or
Yeah.
when you see a company offering you a course or a training, even your own company. So it is amazing what is behind that.
Yeah. I'd actually love to see what you do for your internal training. That would be fun because you're a training platform. Like, that would
It's
be fun. Maybe you
amazing.
can show
It's
me
very
sometime and I
interactive.
can give you some feedback. Like, that would be fun.
We play a lot, but we need
Yeah.
to understand what Genially is, of course. So we work at Genially, so we try to be in all the training, and we have our Genially Academy as well. So it was pretty good. But then we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah. I'd love to see your internal academy. That would be fun. Okay.
So, what learning myth in learning and development that we really need to retire in 2026?
Okay. So I feel like I should say learning styles, but that was what we should have retired 20 years ago, right? Or 10 years ago at least. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that I think what we need to retire is this idea that learning is always a good solution.
Yeah.
That learning is always a good thing. Learning is always a good, or not learning, I would say. Learning is a good thing, but training,
We love
right?
myth
The
busting
answer is
moment.
training cannot, like, there's this idea, this misconception, this myth that, we just need more training. People are not doing their work correctly. They just need training. This new change is coming. We need to train them. But that might be partially true, but it's rarely the whole answer. And when we create training as a knee-jerk reaction without first stopping and going, is this really what we need? I feel like we get in trouble and we create a lot of things that we shouldn't be creating. So can we retire that, please?
Yeah, I believe that the training is the one that everyone still pretends works.
Yeah, and I mean, it does under the right circumstances for the right things, but not for everything. It's not a band-aid, right? It's a targeted, specific type of solution that should be used with precision, not like with like a big paint strokes, right? It's like dotting.
Totally, totally. I agree with you. I agree because right now, like you need a course, even if you want to learn more about AI
Yeah,
training, algorithm
yeah,
training, Instagram training, and everyone is offering courses and courses and courses
yeah.
and creating and it.
And it's not, and
No,
I think what the problem is, of course, is also like when we create courses that are just say e-learning, right? There's no blended, there's no like human aspect, and we haven't involved AI in a way that makes AI help us learn, like coaching us or talking to us, right? We just use it to create content, which is not necessarily good. But what happens when we do that is we have unrealistic expectations of how much you can learn from that
no,
as well. So even if I personally buy an AI course on, one of these platforms that sell training, I'm not going to name any names because they're not paying me to. Ha. But if you do, right, they might not be what you actually need, and their chances of helping you are semi-slim unless you do a lot of other things yourself, which they do not control. They're a variable outside of their control.
of course, and sometimes it's difficult to measure if actually that training or how many trainings
Yeah.
are you offering to your team are actually working.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
impossible
also
to measure.
about metrics, right? We don't necessarily record the right metrics to evaluate that. We don't have before metrics, so how can we look at after metrics, right? If we don't know how it was before, how do we know if it's better now or not? Like that's what, because people wanted like after the fact construct data to show effect. I'm like, well, you can't do that after. You have to plan that beforehand because you need before data to be able to evaluate.
I
And
like
we
that
don't
one.
necessarily collect the data for that, and we don't ask the right questions, and and everything can't be measured as well. So
That's true.
it's complicated. Yeah, it needs to
It
be
is.
addressed though.
It is. It is. I agree with you. So, next question. When
Yeah.
you are designing a learning experience, what's the first question you always ask yourself before opening any tool?
So I actually have a battery of questions I open before I open any tool, and I usually like the first tool I open after that is usually just text document. No like authoring tools, nothing like that. Because what I want to know, like I need to understand a few things first. And the first question I'll probably ask is like, why do you think you need this training? What's the actual problem behind the ask of training? Because when they come to you, they've already decided that they need training. But I want to backtrack and I want to be like, well, what made you feel like you had a problem that needed to be solved with training in the first place? That's the first thing I want to know, because that's the first clue for me to know if training is even a good solution, a good fit or not. And
Tools are
after that, it's
exciting, but
probably the
intention is
audience.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. And then the audience, and then the goals and the targets, and what's it supposed to change or affect, and how.
It's not always the same one, the same tool. It depends of what you, the briefing that you create before.
Yeah, I mean, some clients, they have a preferred tool, right? They're like, this is our authoring tool. We want you to use this.
Okay.
Other times, I will use the authoring tool I think is best from the sort of catalog of authoring tools that I have.
Okay.
Sometimes we're not even using an authoring tool because they have a sort of built-in platform or something. It's more of a, you know, like a web platform type thing where you just embed videos and stuff in and add, elements. So, and that depends on the client, depends on what we're building, what we want to achieve. The target audience is really important, not just like, of course, what motivates them and what do they care about and what does their day-to-day look like, but also you kind of need to know, like what is their language level in this language that we're teaching them in, for instance, right? I mean, now AI does a lot of auto translation, which is, but we still don't know how to quality check that properly. And sometimes we don't want to translate it because it is the corporate official language, right? But we still need to know how well people master that language. So there's a lot of things we need to understand before we even build
Understand your target audience.
things.
Of
Yeah,
course. Hey, that's important because that's the way that you can create something that they can really understand and navigate it and explore it you know,
yeah,
friendly.
exactly. And I mean, I think because there's this misconception, another misconception or myth, I guess, that we should make learning simple. And actually, we learn better if there's a slight challenge. But the challenge should be inside of the learning, not that you don't understand it. Right, so it should be easy to understand, but then there should be, the difficulty should be inside the training of mastering it, of doing something with it, of using it, not in understanding the words people are using because you put the language level like too advanced.
That's great. We need to quote.
Yeah, you
Your
can put it
quotes
all,
of
make
this.
little posters. Yeah,
Yeah, you
postcard.
have mentioned like good quotes, good phrases.
Yeah. No, they'll make great little shorts for you as well, probably.
How do you balance creativity and constraints when stakeholders want everything but learners want nothing long? The eternal struggle.
Yes, I mean it's a big conflict, of course. I think you always have to, like, I use a lens, right, which is the needs, the learning outcomes that we want, and everything filters through that. So we're not going to build anything that doesn't fit inside of that, like an expert or something. They will want, extra stuff because it's good, it's important, but you'll be like, no, it's not the learning goal, right? It
Well,
doesn't
we go back
advance
to the
what
question
we are.
one.
Yeah, it goes back all the way to why are we
Yeah.
doing this? What is the goal? What is the desired outcome? Who is the audience for this? And what do they actually need to know? And you do have to have a lot of conversations about the content overload and the fact that adding more information doesn't necessarily support learning. It could actually diminish the amount of retention because it's too much information.
Yeah.
But what we usually do is sort of and I don't think that's a balance of creativity, but it's a balance of constraint, is we sometimes add, if you're curious, read this. If you want to know more about this, go to this link. If you want to study this in depth, look at this PDF. So we sort of leave the extra info there, but it's not mandatory, and it will not
That's a good move.
It's a compromise, a way to get around it, but also, I mean, some people do want to dig deeper, and this allows them to do that.
Yeah.
So that's how we sort of compromise it. And then the creativity part, I mean, I think I've accepted a long time ago that just because something looks great and is fun and it's fun for me to do, it might not help the learning. And that's a constraint I have to put on myself, not on someone else, right? It's me having to rein myself back in and go, wait, they're not going to want to pay for that just because it's pretty, right? It's not going to help them. Like, back away.
I heard something like that in a conference, and also that what you think it may work for you,
Yeah,
it won't work on another person.
I think the biggest mistake you make is assuming that people are like you. Like, you are not
Exactly.
the art sticker. You are not the template.
I heard that in a conference at BET.
Don't want what you want, because that's what people do. Like, that's usually why people do so bad training, is because they build something they would like, which means that it's all video or all lecture or all text or all and we know that we need a mix. There needs to be a little bit for everyone.
And it's a big challenge actually for people who are creating something that needs to work and has an objective like
and the format should support what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
Right. So, and also what you know about your target audience. Like, once again, text doesn't have, but if your target audience are all engineers that speak the language well, you could do a fairly text-based training without a problem, right? You could do long text, you could do advanced text. They should be happy with that. They should be fine because they're used to it. They're from academic backgrounds. They have an engineering. They can do it, right? They can deal with that. But if you are sort of in, say, facility management, and you want to train people in, I don't know, how to clean things, like,
of course,
you can't do text-based training, right? That. It has to be video, it has to be instruction, it has to be showing people how things work. It has to be more images, it has to be shorter text, it has to be simpler language, because there's a lot of immigrants working there, no matter what country you're in, right? Usually not all people are
it's universal.
And so you always have to adapt to all those things.
Yeah, that's true. What's one small decision that can completely change learning engagement, but is often overlooked? Something simple designers can apply immediately.
Yeah. The absolutely simplest thing is to make sure everything feels relevant and useful to the people taking the training. Like, your training can be pretty bad if the people taking it perceive it as useful and meaningful and related to what they actually do. they can get on board with a lot of bad stuff if you can just get that right.
Wow.
And it's hardly even a design decision. It's just understanding. It's make me doing a bit more research. It's grounding it more in their reality. It's making sure that, there's a direct connection between what you're saying and what you want them to do, and showing them that connection and why it matters. Like, just do that.
Speak their language as well.
Yeah, speak their language. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but that's also part of making it feel like it's for them.
Yeah.
Like if I am looking at something and it's clear to me, I'm not the audience. I'm not going to take it to heart. I need to feel like it's addressing me and my needs and my role.
Oh my God, it's amazing how
And
your
you
work
think
is
that's
amazing.
obvious, right? And yet that's not what we do necessarily.
Yeah, you do research. At the end, you get to know everything from different industries and how to speak
I
with
know
different
so
audience.
many things you have no idea. That's part of the charm.
What's the most challenging? This question is not here, but I'm very curious about what's the most challenging, I don't know, industry that you have creator training experience or have
I mean,
hired.
I don't know if there's any specific. I've been doing a lot of things related to laws recently,
Oh wow.
and sort of training on so for specific type of salespeople, the laws that they are sort of guided and constricted by, and how they should follow them and understand them. And I don't have a law degree, right? I don't have a background in law.
Right now you
So that's challenging, and because I both needed to understand legal aspects and how these people work, like what their actual day-to-day looks like, where they would apply this specifically, why it would matter, what the consequences might be if they didn't do it. And so that was fun, but it was also really challenging. And it might have been extra challenging for me because it's not an area where I have any personal interest. Like, that industry is not something that I'm involved with in my personal life or in my work life in any other way. So even just forcing myself to be really interested in it, because I need to be to figure this out, was a bit challenging. But that's probably, that was the latest, most challenging thing.
Wow. Yeah, you need to study.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have to be an expert, right? That's
No.
really understand enough to make these connections, right? Because
To
what
understand
you're
them.
saying and where do you use it? And that's, I mean, I don't necessarily have to understand. I just have to ask the right questions.
Of course.
But I maybe need to ask more people. I need to figure out who am I supposed to ask to get the right answer for this question.
And do you have a previous meeting with them or?
No, I mean, there's a workflow around it. I mean, it depends on the client, etc. But we always have, meetings in the beginning to sort of clear out these ahead of time questions to understand what they need in the brief. Like, nobody ever sends me just a PowerPoint and says, make e-learning. Like, I don't take those jobs.
Okay.
Someone else does. Like, if you want me to help you build training, you have to talk to me first.
Amazing. Wow. Linnéa, I'm in shock. So, next question. Question number 6. Assessment doesn't have to feel like an exam. How do you use dynamic or formative assessment to keep learners engaged without killing motivation?
Yeah, okay. So I think formative assessment and dynamic assessment are very different, right? So dynamic assessment is usually used in conversations, in blended learning, and sort of, and that's hard to do if you're just doing e-learning. So that I don't do that as often. We usually leave that to the sort of human parts in the blended learning, and maybe just support it slightly. You could technically do that with AI if it's advanced enough, but most people don't have that advanced AI to do that.
Yeah.
So it's probably mostly formative assessment that I actually do, just for clarity, right? And so this is about using the tools like interactive, mostly like the quizzes and the things to create places where you stop and think, right?
And nobody wakes up excited for a quiz.
But because self-assessment, right, or formative assessment is not about sending data to the system to tell them how it's going, right? It's for me as a learner to understand how am I doing? What do I need to focus on? Did I get it or not? Am I on the right track?
Or what do you need to reinforce?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but supporting the learning as it goes. And so one of the things I think is important to do there is to sprinkle it throughout the training, not like do lots of training and then a big assessment, right? But rather sprinkle it throughout so that you sort of track your journey in slower portions. especially if it's a long training. Like, don't make someone do a thin assessment, like every 5 or 10 minutes, maybe. Give them
Wow.
a tiny bit of assessment, right? To just, am I on the right track? And get to course correct before they go too far off course. And then, it's about placing that, just not a bit of it everywhere, but where it will actually matter, right? Where they should have come to something or be able to apply something, and checking it there at the right time, at the logical place of it. Not just, I put it, like, not just throwing it up there.
Answer this quiz and that's it. No.
Yeah, no. And then, I think what's really important, what we miss, because we love, adding quiz questions and, exercises, but what we don't do properly is the feedback. The feedback is like, good job, or like, no, try again. And that's not going to cut it if we're doing formative assessment, right? It needs to be valuable, actual feedback.
So they need to understand.
Yeah, so we have to work more on not just like, well, if we ask this question, what will they learn? But how do we then support them through feedback? Like, what should the system tell them if they answer this or if they do this? Not just good job.
Amazing. No, it's impressive. Like, sometimes you read or you hear like, you need to, I don't know, create a course on, maybe add a quiz.
Yeah, no, never do that. Never
3 questions quiz, 3 questions,
Yeah.
another quiz. Like, no.
No.
You need to test.
Where it makes sense, where there should have been, where they should have reached a point of learning that you want to check. And then also, I think what we need to address is that most questions you see, whether it is formative assessment or it's actual testing for like whether you pass or not, etc., a lot of those are phrased really badly. They have really bad alternatives, which means that we're not actually testing knowledge, right? We're just testing your ability to see through us and figure out what the only logical answer is. Like, I don't need to understand the training. I just need to know that these 2 answers are crazy and this one isn't crazy, so that must be the right answer. Because we don't make, or not, I say we, that might be, but I see a lot of bad questions that will not test knowledge. They will test your ability to see through.
That's what it was to have maybe a tool that have different options so you can create a blended learning.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you want to have tools that will force you to think, right? Or force you to actually test your knowledge, test your skills, test your understanding. And if it doesn't do that, that's back to the part that should be a little bit challenging, right? This is the part that should be a little bit challenging, maybe.
Of course.
Like that
makes sense.
A little bit challenge.
Makes sense. So, what's a trend in learning and development you are excited about and one you are a bit skeptical of?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think what I'm seeing and what I'm liking is that we're talking more about learning in the flow of work, and that L&D is sort of taking a more active part in that, rather than just saying like, 70, 20, 10, learning doesn't happen, just with us, blah, 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 and then not being part of it. But now saying, yes, learning might not just happen in official training, but we are still a part of that. We still can support that, learning in the flow of work. That's exciting to me, because I feel like we should have been doing that for a really long time. I've been trying to sort of, like what I said, like maybe I'll help you with the manual instead. Like, that's learning in the flow of work, right? Making sure that when you need it, it's there. But doing more of that and, focusing more on the learning than the training, like that, when people do that, that gets me really excited. Now, what doesn't get me excited is actually like, especially inside authoring tools, I'm seeing a lot of AI that will build the course for you. If you just upload your PDF or your PowerPoint or your, and it will just like, and it takes a few seconds and wham, bam, there's a course. And then people, they will go through it, they'll look properly, and they'll just publish it. And if we go back to what I said about, how the cost of training, you need to understand it, right? From like more cost.
And the human touch.
Because it's so quick and easy, just push out so much training and make people spend work time doing that training. But it's basically useless because it wasn't properly developed. It didn't go through what seasoned learning professional would check. Like, AI can build the course if there's also a learning professional there making sure that all the bits and pieces are there that needs to be there. But just letting any subject matter expert upload their PDF and create a course, like that scares me a little.
Yeah, no. Like, I went to a conference, marketing conference, and it's more like AI is here to support you because in marketing as well, like, oh, AI can create a whole marketing campaign for you. Oh, marketing can target all your audience. Like, no, you need the human touch. You need like
Yeah.
uh, all the research, their experience, what you have heard, the insights. So
Yeah. And
it's
it's
like
not
AI.
AI, right? It's yes, I cannot do it for me. AI can do it with me. AI can help me, but I need to be in the mix. My expertise, my eyes still add something else.
It's more like there
And
needs to be a balance.
yeah, and there needs you just need to know what AI does well and what AI doesn't do well. And I mean, the problem with most AI tools is they're so willing to do whatever you ask them to, whether or not it's a good idea, because that's not in their programming to
Yeah.
double check, right? And so a human probably should do that before you even get to put it inside the tool.
Another thing that I have seen a lot, because I'm not an instructional designer, but I have been working many years with some of you, and
Yeah.
I have attended a learning and development sessions and conference. But I have seen that there are a lot of like every year they are bringing something new, and there are trends.
Yeah.
And then I have seen on LinkedIn some posts and videos about a same topic and like a trend, and they, how can I say, like they say, oh, this is the best solution. This
Yeah.
is what works. And
But
I
that's
don't know,
marketing, right?
it,
That's
it, it
they
works
have
for
to have something
everything. And
new and perfect, and that's going to solve all your problems. Because how else are they going to sell it to you? But I mean, if you look back at all the trends you saw that didn't make it, that didn't stay,
yeah.
right? You need to remember that and not get swept away by the sort of shiny new object feeling. It's, I mean, a new trend, it's fun, right? It's like, oh, wow, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. It's not a bad thing per se, but the problem is it's always sold to you as a this will fix everything solution. And
Okay.
nothing will fix everything, right? It's world is complicated. You will need more than one approach. It's like, do you remember when micro learning became a big thing?
Oh my God, yeah, bite-sized
Yeah,
learning everywhere.
everybody, and then nano learning, right, was going to get even smaller. But the truth is, yes, there is absolutely a time and place for micro and nano learning, but there is also a time and place for, long-term training, blended training, things that take weeks or months to complete.
No, or
It's
branching
structured
scenarios.
different things, different skills, different aspects, and it's different levels of learning. But it was sold as, people sold micro learning platforms or LMSs as if they would be enough for an entire organization, and they never were.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean microlearning is bad, right? It just means that it's not the solution to all of our problems. And
And
that's what
that
you need to
and
keep in
difference
mind the next time someone tries to sell you something.
and maybe that it can work for different situations, for
Yeah,
different situations and tasks.
exactly. Yeah, now there are situations where it's the perfect tool and situations where it's an absolutely useless tool.
Yeah.
And that's the complexity that you have to understand if you work with learning, right? If you work with training. Like, when is it the right approach? It's not about using one tool all the time. It's about, or one approach all the time, right? It's about knowing when what approach is the right approach.
Great. Yeah, it's amazing. Again, I'm not an instructional designer, but then I have seen in different situations like I
Yeah.
repeated and I get to investigate and do my research about that, and it may not work for every situation. Like it's
Yeah.
about marketing for that new technique. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I mean it's hard to sell complexity,
Yeah.
right? That's not how sales work in general. And that's problematic for anyone who wants to sell a nuanced product, honestly. Like
Of course.
it's hard. So if you're buying something, please help those people achieve their goals by selling good things
Yeah.
without trying to,
Totally.
trick
So
you.
question number 8.
Yeah.
If you had to design one highly interactive learning experience using a tool like
Yeah.
Genially,
Yeah.
what would be non-negotiable for you and why?
Yeah, okay. So before I answer this, I have to sort of separate two things because I talk about interactivity as false interactivity and actual meaningful interactivity. So false interactivity is clicking for the sake of clicking.
Okay.
You add things to make it look fun or seem interactive, but it's not forcing you to think or test or, it's not forcing you to use your brain, right?
Okay.
It's just like, say, flip cards. I think they're a great example, right? Flip cards, used the right way, could be a great way to test knowledge. But using digital flip cards as a way of saying, well, this is actually my header and then this is just the text, but I put them on flip cards, that's not interactivity. That's just content. That's just
Okay.
information being distributed through clicking. And for me, that is a meaningful interactivity. So for me, when I look at interactivity, I'm looking at things that are going to force my learner to do more than just look at it. Right? They need to think, they need to solve a problem, they need to make a choice. And it can't be easy, like an easy choice. It shouldn't be like impossible, right? But it needs to have some level of difficulty, forcing you to actually interact with not the thing that you click on, but with the concept that you're teaching, with the actual, end goal of the training.
For example, using drag and drop.
Could
Mm,
be, but not
okay.
necessarily. I mean, it's not necessarily about the type of interaction. It's how you use it. So as I said, flip cards, like a way I use flip cards, right, is I will have a question first, and I'll say, which one of these options do you think would yield the best outcome? And then if you flip it, you get feedback on your choice, not
Okay.
more information, right? You get feedback on, pros and cons of this choice. And you make sure that none of the answers are obviously right or wrong. They're all gray zone. So you have to really think.
For example, an escape game.
What? Like,
An escape game.
I mean, you're talking escape rooms?
Escape rooms. Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
escape
they need
rooms.
you
I
to
mean,
force you to
yeah,
think because you're solving
concepts. They
something.
could be absolutely meaningless. They could be absolutely meaningful. It's not the interaction itself, it's how you're
Okay.
using it. So what you should ask yourself is, am I forcing them to think now? Or can they just go, can they just click and go next?
Quote.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote
Are
you.
they thinking? Are they forced to stop and go, wait, I have to access something in my mind. I have to solve. I have to choose. I have to engage. That's engagement to me. So that's what I'm looking for, because that's how we get results, better results at least,
Outcome.
from training. So I like if I'm looking at a tool, I actually like the customizable options, like the option
Yeah.
of choosing how things will navigate depending on what you do and what you choose. And also ways to give learners options. Like, so say, maybe it's not a branching scenario, right? But it's just branching in the way that you can go either this way or that way. It will lead you back to the same point, but you can do it. You could say, do you want to do this as an exercise or do you want to watch a video? Same content, right? Like that is a meaningful interactivity in another way, because it's self-determination theory, sort of giving you choice and agency, and perhaps helping you, feel like you can do what feels good to you, or
True.
feels like natural to you. So all the kind of navigation, I can choose how it will go, and where I can add feedback in different ways. Like that's what I'm looking for, more than like the specific interaction styles that you like on the list. Like those are fun, but they're only useful when I know how I will use them to make people think.
Amazing. That's amazing. I'm gonna like get the best quotes
Yeah,
literally because it is impressive.
yeah. You could just put them in a little pamphlet.
Yeah, of course. So, closing insight for
Yeah,
instructional designers listening right now.
yeah.
What's one experiment that could try this month to level up their learning experience? Something small but powerful.
Yeah. Okay. So a really simple thing is to create, I'm not talking big scenario based training. I'm just talking about like an example or a situation. And then you create at least 3 options and make sure none of them are obviously good or obviously bad. Make sure they're all gray area, and then connect them to feedback and the possibility to go back and change it and see what happens. And you could do that like a concrete example, like say if we do the customer service example, right? A customer comes in, really angry as a bee, right? Unhappy about something. Give them three options where none of them will make the customer super duper extra angry, right? None of them is obviously wrong, but none of them is perfect. Like all of them are semi good, perhaps, but not perfect. And then you choose each one and you get, detailed feedback about this probably would help, but this wouldn't for
Wow.
each one, like individualized, depending on what they chose. Like that's pretty quick to make. AI can definitely help you with the phrasing and stuff if you want to, make it quicker. Just make sure it's a relevant scenario to the audience group, right? That will feel like this will happen in my life. This is something that happens to me at work. Try that, and don't grade it or anything. Just like choose it, make it a something that forces them to think.
Wow. Linnea, this has been such an inspiring conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights and for reminding us the meaningful learning, that learning is intentional, creative, and deeply human.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to be here. And yeah, if anyone wants to talk more to me about this, you can contact me on LinkedIn or any of my channels. I'm happy to
Of
talk more.
course, we're gonna be sharing your LinkedIn account and everything here. So if everyone wants to talk to about a topic with Linnea,
Yeah,
send
just
her
hit
a
me
message.
up. Yeah.
Amazing. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow Coffee with Genially for more ideas, inspiration, and conversations with people shaping the future of learning. See you next time. Thank you very much, Linnea.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.